Hey everybody, welcome back to Pritches Get Stitches. Happy to have you here with us. Holly, how you doing?
I'm doing okay. It was a good night last night.
Uh-oh.
I just stayed home and had a little bit to drink, but I had fun while I was doing it. I discovered audio clips while I'm drinking.
Oh my gosh. Did you listen to those that you sent me?
I did, and I didn't even remember. I remembered sending you the clips. I didn't remember what the clips said, but I got a good laugh this morning because I sure audio clipped the hell out of everybody last night.
Yeah, you were sending them, and we were playing a game with Jace because he was home alone last night. And I played those, and Holly's like, she doesn't even know she's sending you this stuff. I'm like, I don't think she does.
Who said that, Val?
Val, did I say that?
Yeah, you said Holly.
Oh, Val, sorry.
Hey, but in the words of Tupac Shakur.
That's true. You did tell us that. And Val laughed because Val would get that. But yeah, so school's out officially.
How's that feel?
We are in the summer. Like it's day 2 today.
Not having to get up at 6 a.m. anymore?
Oh, it does feel good. Except I got this dog. You can see the dog there behind you.
There she is, chilling underneath the chair.
Hanging out with us today because the kids are gone. So I was like, hey, Val, listen, like we still got to do this thing. Like we're making our dreams come true. And so we're going to keep doing this podcast. We got to get Holly out of her job at some point, years down the road. Years down the road. We got to make this thing happen. So you got to take the kids somewhere. So they decided, here's the thing. I told my kids, you have TV till 10 a.m. Like, is that wrong? Like, then you got to go do something with your life.
Shit, I wasn't even out of bed at 10 a.m. in summer. So,
well, I got this.
Come in sometimes at like noon and like, are you guys still in bed? Because remember, we had those room darkening curtains.
Yes.
They were the wood slats with the yarn covered. Best curtains ever.
Right.
So ugly, but the best, most effective curtains.
Yes, they did lock out.
I think they need to get out of the house. It's summer. Like, go do something. Get out. Go see your friends. Go to the mall. Yes. Whatever you're going to do, just get out.
So I keep looking out the window here because I've got a suspicious car that keeps pulling by, but it's not suspicious. I think I know who it is. And my girls have decided that pretty much every day they're going to have a hangout with their friends. And so they were out last night till 11, and then they immediately get home. And I'm watching The Office with Jared. We got finished season 2 last night. So I'm watching The Office with Jared, and I'm like, Lexi comes barging up the stairs because that's where we're watching it last night. And she's like, tomorrow at 12 o'clock, we are hang out at our house and we're hosting it. I'm like, you just hung out with like all these kids. She's like, we're doing it again tomorrow. And then we're doing it again tomorrow night. Like, all right, well, we're recording a podcast. So, it's not at my house. So they're going swimming somewhere, not at our pool because we don't have one.
Right. Not yet anyway.
I know. One day.
I'm going to say by next summer, I think you'll have one. I think Val will have talked you into it by next summer.
Most likely over the winter time when the prices go down, I'll probably end up with a pool. You're probably correct.
Money pit right there, bro. Money pit. You just dump money into it constantly.
Yeah.
It'll be good for the first couple years, and then the ground's going to shift or settle, and then your pool's going to crack, and then you're going to have to drain it. Like all this stuff. I think they just don't think about that because they didn't have a pool growing up.
Listen, and I've told them, I'm like, dude, I grew up with a pool. I know exactly what it's like to take care of it. They're already starting in with the, we don't want to, take the dog out. Like, this has been 2 weeks. Like, you guys tell me you're going to clean the pool. Like, yeah, good one. I'll believe it. So
that's why Dad did it every week.
I cleaned it later in life.
Well, later, but
like
not
14.
Until you were like a teenager. Yeah.
Yeah. Todd used to do it.
And Jerry, let's be honest. Jerry's so ADHD, he'd get out there to clean that pool and forget what he was doing and end up, I don't know.
Swimming, calling his buddies over.
Doing something else, right?
Being like, hey,
that pool would never get cleaned if we rely on him.
Oh, so funny story. Dad, I was probably 15 or 16, and Dad went somewhere. I think he was out of town, actually. I think he and Mom were gone. They left me at the house a couple times by myself. And they didn't care. Like, they didn't ever do that for you, but they did that for me because I was such a good kid. I wasn't going to do anything crazy.
I was a good kid. Get over it.
So they left me at the house, and he goes one day, he's like, hey, Scott, I need you to make sure you shock the pool today. It's going to get hot. It needs to be done today. And I'm like, yeah, sure thing. I leave for school because I was still in school, and I'm driving to school. I'm like, oh, I forgot to shock the pool. No worries. I'll go do it after school. And I get home, and no joke, that pool had turned dark green. And I'm like, Dad, like, don't kill me. And it got so bad by the time he got home that we had to drain the pool and start fresh. I mean, it probably had to drain it anyways because he had a crack and we always were filling the crack. But literally in one day, it was like gone. And I'm like, oh, he was not happy.
Just a mess. I mean, if you're going to get a pool, though, I hear that you should get the saltwater ones. Like those are, look at those. That's what I hear. Dad knows a little about them. And
so we've done a ton of research. We actually had a pool company come out. They did measurements and they did everything and never called us back. I never emailed us back. Like, oh, I guess you don't want my business.
Interesting. Maybe they went out of business.
Nope, they're still loud and proud in the area. So anyways, so that's gonna be fun. So school's out, got kids gonna be everywhere this summer, I think. I've got two kids.
No vacations. Vacations this year because you took them on the cruise in March.
Exactly. So we are not. That was Christmas and summer and all spring break.
You don't have to worry about driving anywhere for hours and hours. You're just
after mine, Val, because Val's always wanting to go somewhere. I'm like, hey, listen, we're still at that cruise, you know.
Yeah, but I think Val will win. I think you're going to go to Utah again this summer. You're going to go. You'll be in Utah. Mark my words.
No, so I don't think so. We got the puppy and we've got things happening. We got two kids. I got two kids in strength and conditioning over the summer for athletics, and I got one kid that's in marching band. So our summers are going to be packed.
And just remember that I do not pet sit.
You say that now.
No, I say that.
No, you love Lulu. She loves you.
I do love Lulu.
You can come hang out at our house. You don't have to.
Not gonna happen. I don't take dogs on walks. Listen, I don't do all of that. I don't pick up dog poop. I don't have a cat. I mean, I don't have a dog. I don't have children.
You love
there's
dogs.
A reason. I love that I don't have dogs.
One day you'll need to be needed and you'll feel important.
I mean,
I'll just say,
look
listen.
at her little face back there.
I know, it's like a little panda. Face. I'll just say, listen, remember that time that I woke up, took you to the hospital?
Oh my God. Don't even remember the time that I cooked for you.
That was the deal. You lived in my house. That was so you could get free food.
Fair point.
Yeah. So I don't think we're going anywhere. I got two kids leaving next week on a trip with the church, and I've got
nice.
We've got
Molly. Quiet house.
Yeah. It'll be Ava, who's like quiet as a mouse, and Jace, who's
quieter than a mouse.
Yes. And he'll be gone. He'll find things to do. But yeah, so we're full force. Summertime. Yeah, it's fun. So I know you're drinking water because you're a pescatarian now, or a Mediterranean.
I'm actually drinking a coffee this morning.
Oh, you got a coffee?
Have a second one. Yeah, this is my second one today because of the debauchery of last night. It was a rough morning getting out of bed today.
So I am going to cut in those clips. I did say I was going to cut those clips you sent me. No.
I'm fine with that. I am 100% okay with that. You do that. They're good. I have a good singing voice, although not in those clips.
Yep. So I got my Dr. Pepper today, actually. So I was looking for one, but Kroger's very basic. I was at Kroger because like I said in our last podcast, we're gonna try something. We're gonna have a taste test. And I went to Kroger to get the spotted dick, and they didn't have any. And I was like, why not? So I have to get it at Walmart, but Walmart's a little bit further. So then I was like, okay, well, let me get a drink that's like the Coke. You know, right now Coke has all these weird flavors and stuff. Not a Kroger. Oh, not in their refrigerated section. So I'm like, well, it's just like basics, like.
But which refrigerated section? So the Smiths that I used to go to up in Utah, there was like kind of by the deli, there was a section of really cold sodas. Yeah, that they would put a whole bunch of different ones. Is that where you looked?
Yeah, that's the section. So they didn't have any.
Boring.
They had Dr. Pepper. Yeah, they had Dr. Pepper, but they also had the strawberries and cream, and they also had the other one, but they didn't have any of the Coke ones. Just Coke and Coke Zero.
Well, one, Coke's gross, but two, you didn't go with. I'm a little surprised you didn't go with the strawberries and cream. Dr. Pepper as much as you raved about it.
Well, it's good. I just wanted regular today. I'm trying to, up our ante for Dr. Pepper to become our first sponsor.
They did like
our comment. They did like our video, which, obviously that's, in our last podcast, the taste test of the Bluebell ice cream and the Dr. Pepper, and it was delicious. And I actually bought another one. I bought a half gallon. We had that.
Sure, it's already gone.
It was one day. It was
gone like the first night you got it.
We had it for dessert. So we just ate it. And so this is, there's a reason, we're really going to push for Dr. Pepper to be our first sponsorship. We love Dr. Pepper. We love their ice cream.
I mean,
we're close by. They're in Plano. We're in Frisco Prosper.
For sure.
Actually.
And our fun fact of the day is actually about Dr. Pepper. Should we just go right into the fun fact?
Go for it. So Dr. Pepper, and here's the deal. I have a friend, Leslie. I know you're listening. Maybe, probably not, but you work for Dr. Pepper. So put in a good word for us. Come on.
Plug us, Leslie. Plug us.
Right.
All right. So this is just a little bit about Dr. Pepper because we both love it. It's both of our favorites.
Mhm.
So it was created in 1880s by a pharmacist named Charles Alderton in Waco. It was first served in 1885 and preceded the introduction of Coca-Cola by 1 year, making it the oldest major soft drink brand in America.
Go Dr. Pepper. People try to argue with me on that from out of state, you know, because they're like, oh, Coke, Pepsi, blah, blah, blah. Somebody tried to argue that Coke owns Dr. Pepper. I was like, dude, I will punch you in the face right now. Like, I know they bottle this stuff.
Coke used to be their distributor, correct? But, until I think 2008.
Dude from Pocatello, Idaho. He's like, listen, I worked at a supermarket and Coke brought the Dr. Pepper. They own them. I'm like, bro, I will punch you. Like, Dr. Pepper is older than Coke and they hold their own. Like, get out of here.
Right. And Coke actually, based upon Dr. Pepper, had a drink come out that they called Peppo. And Dr. Pepper sued them and they had to change it to Mr. Pibb.
Which is not the same.
Not the same. And let me tell you, I used to, when I lived in Utah, right? We'd go to places and I'd say like, hey, do you have Dr. Pepper? And they're like, yeah, we sure do. And then they bring it out. And I'm like, yo, this is not Dr. Pepper. This is Mr. Pibb, isn't it? And they're like, so then every time I'd go, I'd say, do you have Dr. Pepper? And they'd say yes. And I say, is it Dr. Pepper or Mr. Pibb? And if they're like, no, it's Dr. Pepper. I'm like, actual Dr. Pepper? They're like, yes. I'm like, okay. But if they're like, well, I mean, it's Mr. Pibb. I'm like, not the same. Not the same.
Then they came up with Pibb Extra to try to make it sound even better, like better.
Didn't work out.
But I'm not like you. I'm not like a complete snob. If they don't have Dr. Pepper, I will drink a Mr. Pibb. However, if it's like, hey, I'm really feeling like
we trying to get Dr. Pepper to sponsor us.
Oh yeah, that's right. I don't ever drink Mr. Pibb. Never.
I never do ever. Like I literally will be like, if they say that Mr. Pibb, I'm like, nah, I'll take a Sprite. Like,
well, here's the deal. Here's the deal. So sometimes I'm in a okay. We love Dr. Pepper, but every once in a while, you know, so they don't have Dr. Pepper, let's say, just hype it. Don't have Dr. Pepper. And so I'm like, okay, let me get Coke Zero. Cause you know, I like Coke Zero if that's the only option I have. And they'll say, oh, we only have Diet Coke. And I'm like, okay, I'll take a water. And they're like, it's the same. I'm like, no, it's not. Like the difference between Coke Zero and Diet Coke is similar to the difference between Dr. Pepper and Mr. Pibb. There's a definite difference.
Definite difference.
But we love Dr. Pepper all the way, 100%.
Ooh. And so back to the fun fact of the day. When it was originally ordered, they didn't have a name for it. And so when people would go into the local soda fountain where the pharmacist worked, he sold it to, or gave the recipe, I guess, to the owner. They just would go in and order a Waco. And that was what it was originally called, was the Waco. Mm-hmm. And then there's actually even a cocktail shot called a Flaming Dr. Pepper. And I'll tell you, it tastes just like a Dr. Pepper. No Dr. Pepper in it.
Could it also be called a hot Dr. Pepper? Is that a thing?
I mean, possibly, because they said it. So what it is, it's like a shot of amaretto. They top it with 151 rum, and then they set it on fire. Then you drop it in a beer and chug it. So I guess you could call it a hot Dr. Pepper.
I feel like when I was a kid and people wanted to act cool, they, you know, like in middle school, and they're like, oh yeah, we had hot Dr. Peppers. I was like, like hot, like they were outside. Like, I don't know. So I've heard that before, but it was always hot Dr. Pepper.
Yeah, I don't know. I've always heard it as a Flaming Dr. Pepper. And if you're a really good bartender, then you could line the bar with 151 and set the bar on fire. Then it would catch the drink on fire. The bar would go out. You'd pick it up, drop it in, and chug, and it would look real cool. And then the last fact about it is it's disputed as to where the original recipe is kept. One theory or one report is that the recipe is actually split into two and kept in two different safety deposit boxes in two different Dallas banks. And then
find them.
I know, but the other one says that it's kept, the recipe is locked in the vault at the Dr. Pepper headquarters in Plano.
You know, one of the worst days of my life. So real quick about Dr. Pepper. Some of you guys, just to kind of, you guys see my shirt last couple episodes, Compass, that's my company, Compass Process Servers. So when you're looking at, like, you know, our show is always sponsored by Compass Process Servers, just FYI. Every 100%. Once in a while we may throw in a hat here or there from somebody else, but there's always the underlying Compass Process Server sponsors the show. I've had to serve Dr. Pepper a couple times, and I always am like, I feel like I'm betraying them a little bit, because I walk in and I'm like, first of all, the first time I walked in to serve Dr. Pepper, they had free Dr. Peppers, like this was their old, they had the old offices in Plano, and now they have new offices by the Star. So they're actually not in Plano anymore. So you need if that's where it's at, the safety deposit box or whatever, the vault, I don't think that's in Plano anymore. They have a new building across from the Star in Frisco, actually, which is right across the street from you.
Okay. Right from me.
So I walked in that first when they had free drinks, and they offered one to me, and I just felt bad. Like I felt like I was betraying a friend because I was serving Dr. Pepper like a lawsuit. But anyways, I just feel like every time a couple times I've served him, I betrayed him. And Dr. Pepper, I'm sorry.
I feel like maybe we should cut this whole clip out. Like, Dr. Pepper will no longer sponsor us.
I will spend $75 on Dr. Pepper. So the money that I made to go serve it, I will spend that money on Dr. Pepper.
Fair point. Fair point. I will say when I go out to restaurants, though, I do have to limit because I will drink 12,000 Dr. Peppers at dinner. So I have to tell the servers like, hey, so I can have this one and one refill. And after that, no more. Because I will literally drink their entire supply of Dr. Pepper during one meal. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I love it. It's so good.
There's not a better drink. I mean, it's perfect. 10, 2, and 4 to keep you regular too, I believe.
Yep. 10, 2, and 4 to keep you pepped.
The one that I am kind of upset, not upset. I'm never upset at Dr. Pepper. We love you. Okay. But Dublin Dr. Pepper was
the shit.
And they got rid of it.
Dear God, that was the one I would drink out of a bottle. It was like Dr. Pepper.
Chad was telling me about it. Dublin, Texas. And
right. That's where they bottled it.
And it was like independently owned. The old lady owned it.
Yeah, yep. Pure cane sugar.
And they got rid of it.
Oh, that was like the day they got rid of that broke my heart.
I mean, they still have it. They still have it. I mean, it's still in the green can. It's still in the green bottle. And it's made with sugar. They just don't call it Dublin Dr. Pepper anymore.
Yeah, but it's like, that's an institution. You have to call it Dublin Dr. Pepper.
We just need to get a lot of Dr. Pepper, so I owe them. I mean, I bought a lot of Dr. I bought more than 150 because I've served them twice. I bought more than $150 worth of Dr. Pepper in my life. So
no doubt.
It's all good. It's all good. So, okay. So Holly, we said we're going to start trying something every time. Cause what are we drinking? It's always going to be Dr. Pepper or water. Like I won't bring maybe something else here and there, but coffee. For the most part, but we decided we'll do some, what are we eating last week or last episode we did the, Dr. Pepper float ice cream, which is delicious, which we were telling, I was saying it kind of tastes like the Dr. Pepper shake over at Whataburger. And I've had a lot of feedback on that. A lot of people have said, yes, it does, which I love. I absolutely love that shake. So I went and I said, the first thing we're going to try is Spotted Dick because I have seen that at the store. And I thought that was the craziest name for something was Spotted Dick.
I can't not laugh every time somebody says Spotted Dick. Like it just makes me laugh every time.
I just listened to the previous clip on that when I said in our last podcast, and I didn't catch this when you said it, and I just caught it now. And you said I don't want a Spotted Dick anywhere near my mouth.
That's probably why it makes me laugh.
So I went to Kroger, like I said earlier. I went to Kroger. They don't have a huge selection. They did not have the Spotted Dick, so I had to find something else. And I sent you a picture of like canned fish. What is it called?
Gefilte fish.
Okay, so I couldn't stomach that. So I was like, I got to find something else. So I bought this little package. You don't know what it is yet. I haven't shown you. I just showed you a little bit.
I don't.
But
oh God, I'm almost scared.
Here's the thing. I just flipped it over and it shows the expiration date a month ago. So I just bought it.
Sick.
I just bought it. The expiration date's a month ago. I don't think we'll get sick. However, just a little bit about this. This is a product of South Korea.
Did you bring, what we should have brought in the barf bowl, the Tupperware bowl. That's the barf bowl.
That's not just the barf bowl. That's the barf bowl. That's the caramel popcorn bowl. That's the foot bath bowl. You got to put your foot in there.
Batter bowl. Yeah.
Cookie batter. You got to put when you have to soak, Chad used to get ingrown toenails as a kid and he'd soak his toe
in the big
with the Epsom salt.
Orangey yellow. What was it? Orange.
Yeah. Tupperware
and then
bowl.
We would do caramel popcorn in it.
The next, that night. That's the everything bowl. Think about that.
That is the everything bowl.
Watermelon. Puts watermelon. Anyways, it says it's perfect as a snack on its own.
Hold up. I feel like we need to preface that we actually did wash that bowl in between.
Well, of course we watched it, but let's be honest.
I just wanted to say, I didn't want anybody to be
everybody's going to wash that bowl, but it just had everything in it.
It was the everything bowl. You're right.
Okay, so it says it's perfect on its own, but then it says to try it crumpled into a super salad, sprinkled on top of a pizza or rice, or make your own sushi. So it is roasted seaweed snacks.
Interesting.
With sea salt. And they expired a month ago. So I'm going to try it.
I do like sushi.
I'm going to try it. And then I'm going to take it back and be like, hey, this expired. So,
did they take food back? Because I know during COVID, they're like, you can't return food.
Oh, they'll return it.
Okay. Oh, no. I'm scared.
Oh.
Hey.
There you go.
Is this going to taste like anything? Because I love sushi. And it's wrapped in seaweed.
Well, I mean.
Probably. Okay. Ready?
Oh, I got to crumble it up.
Oh, they stink.
Yeah, they stink. Oh. Here we go. 1, 2, 3.
2, 3. Mm.
Mm. This is really bad.
It does
Super
taste
salty.
like sushi, way salty, and I love salt. Oh, jeez.
Okay, 10 seconds, 20 seconds, and you can't swallow anything. Oh, I don't know.
Like I like sushi, and this tastes like sushi, but worse. And now seriously, I'm like trying not to gag right now. Oh,
Try another one.
no.
I wonder how spotted dick tastes.
Do we need to do another one? No,
I'm
you
gonna-
can't drink anything yet.
Yeah, it's been 20 seconds, hasn't it? Oh, okay.
Oh. Damn it! Why don't I have enough coffee left?
Ah, that's gross.
Oh, that's bad.
Seaweed.
Damn it! I don't even think I have gum.
Here you go, Dr. Pepper.
Oh, yeah, I need something. This is. Oh. Oh.
Oh, what are we doing? Okay, so.
Okay, so review. Very salty.
Very seaweedy.
It did make me think of sushi, but not in a good way. And I love sushi, not in a good way.
See, the thing about sushi, like it says it's great for a snack. Fine. Okay. Do you want to put it onto a salad? Okay. Okay, but you got other stuff with it. Like just great as a snack. Like, oh, I can't do that.
Oh, no, I couldn't eat that. Oh.
Won't go away. Flavor won't go away.
We didn't do gefilte fish, though.
Oh, man. I don't
In
know.
a gelled broth.
Oh, you know what's the worst? Like tuna fish.
First of all, tuna fish is gross.
I like some tuna fish. I'll eat some tuna
But
fish.
in the
tuna
oil.
fish in oil.
Oh.
Who eats that? Who eats tuna fish in oil? Oh, I can't.
I can't. Like that taste will not go away, even with this Dr. Pepper. Oh, yeah. That was not good. I could not eat that as a snack, as salty as it is. And you know, I love me some salt, like saltaholic big time. Ugh.
That was rough.
Ooh, that was so rough.
That was rough. Okay, so if you guys, hey, seriously, like anybody who's listening, our 12 people, shout out to Seattle.
Ooh.
Real quick. We have 5 listeners in Seattle on Apple Podcasts.
I don't know anybody in Seattle.
I don't even know who I know up there. So if you're listening in Seattle, let's comment up on our Facebook page at Pritch and Moan. Everywhere. You know, if you're watching on YouTube, well, obviously you're listening on Apple Podcasts, but at Pritch and Moan, everywhere. So find us, let us know you're listening. Like seriously, right now, like take a minute, pause the podcast, take a second, go make a comment somewhere, go send us a message like, hey, listen in here and wherever. And yeah, we'll read them out. We'll read them out what you have to say. I mean, even if you say, hey, you guys are a bunch of dummies, we'll read that on air too. But let us know if you've tried something, you know, something that you like that maybe is weird, or even if something like you've had to eat something weird. Like I've had to eat a lot of weird stuff. I was on my mission, you know, in Los Angeles, and I worked with the Tongan and the Samoan congregations at separate times of my mission, and I had some stuff and I ate it. It was good.
I used to date a Samoan guy, and I could never get over the taro paste.
Never had taro paste. I had taro root quite often, baked like a baked potato.
Paste, but no, see, and theirs was some sort of paste, but for me, it wasn't because again, flavor, it's a texture thing. So it was a weird texture for me.
Taro root, man, that'd sit in your belly and you'd roll over in the morning and you could feel it. But they had, the Tongans called it, I believe that the Tongans, they called it lupulu, and the Samoans called it palasami. And it was taro leaf, and it would have coconut milk inside, or it was cooked in coconut milk. And Tongans, they would put corned beef in the middle of it, and the Samoans didn't. They'd wrap it up. It was pretty good. It was different, but it was good. I liked it.
Yeah.
Okay, so there we go. Seaweed for the day.
Oh, that was rough. I mean, I'm still struggling over here. That was rough.
I can still feel it like in my teeth.
I can like taste it still. Yeah.
Okay, so Holly, you have a friend that you met on Bumble BFF, correct?
Correct.
And she's very introverted.
She is an introvert, but she is also a child therapist. So she works does a lot of grief counseling. Her name is Kasey Key. Okay. But I call her Colby because she had on the, Colby's her middle name. And so she had that on the app. And so in my mind, she's just always Colby. So she laughs because I'm the only one who calls her Colby.
Okay.
So last weekend we went out to the Dallas Museum of Art, put on a murder mystery, like Clue. So we went to that, and we went to eat beforehand.
How many times have you been to downtown Dallas, Ollie?
Recently?
But yeah, it's like gone downtown
A couple times.
and
Not
then
a
drove
lot.
home.
I mean, listen, my phone died. Okay. And I
We'll
had
get,
zero sense of direction. So
we'll get to that
anyway,
later.
so we went there and we went to a restaurant before we met up, and she had to actually text me and say, like, hey, by the way, the reservation is under Kasey Keys. So if you say it's under Colby, they're going to be like, we don't have that reservation. So anyway, I'm the only one who calls her Colby, but I love her anyway. But she was telling me we finished up at with the murder mystery, and we're just kind of waiting around because it was like kind of like you have an hour and a half, I think, to solve. You go in, and essentially what they do is somebody's been murdered, and then they bring to life like the art or a sculpture or whatever, who are the suspects,
Right.
and you have to find where's the body, chalk outline. So that's the room. And then you have to figure out what killed them. And then the weapons are also within the museum. So it'll be like an old samurai sword or whatever. So super fun. So anyway, at the end, we sit down at this table with two random strangers because there was the only seats available, and we just kind of get to talking. And I think actually she had mentioned when we were looking at the museum store that she wrote a book. And I'm like, what? She's like, yeah, I've written a children's book. It's published. And I'm like, well, now I have to hear this. And I mean, I was tipsy, I will say. Like, we were tipsy because we drank. And I drank quite a bit before just because it was like, hey, I'm downtown exploring. Like, this is fun. And then we went, it made it so much more fun, like doing the whole murder mystery. And then we got a beer after. So anyway, she starts telling me the story, and it was actually like so good. It just made made me teary eyed. But it's essentially a book. It's called Even When, and it's an unconditional love story. And so I asked her like why, she wrote it. So I know the reason behind why she wrote it. But that's kind of like a personal thing to her. So I'm not going to share the why she wrote it.
Okay.
But I'll tell you like the value and why you should buy it. And it's a children's book, but it's to expand the feelings vocabulary. Okay. Like there's I
have a kid that probably needs to hear this.
Right. And there's a special that like Brene Brown does. It's called Atlas of the Heart. And it talks about like identifying different feelings and how important it is to identify feelings correctly. And so this book helps teach children the correct terms for feelings, basically. But it's also to normalize to both caregivers and children that big feelings happen, and that feelings can be temporary. They're temporary. You may feel one way one moment, one way another.
So I need to probably get this book, or if you want to get this book for Jace. Jace was born right before Val's parents moved in with us. Some of our listeners know us personally and know the story, but Steve and Mel moved in with us shortly after he was born, and he pretty much like grew up with Grandpa Steve. And Val would leave, and Jace would be sleeping, and Grandpa Steve had Parkinson's, and he would be home, and Val would say to Steve like, "Hey, Dad, I'm running to the store. Jace is in bed. If he starts crying, he'll be fine. Just let me know." And so she'd get a call and, hey, like baby's awake, Jace is awake. And he'd go in there and he'd talk with him and whatever. And so that, Jace and Steve were like buddies. And Jace would, he would watch movies with them. He'd go in there into his room. They had a TV in there. So they'd watch movies together, and Steve would introduce him to, Looney Tunes and Popeye and all these different shows, different cartoons, and they would watch together. And Steve, was there for the first 6 years of Jace's life. There wasn't a time that Steve wasn't around. And right. Steve passed away 2021, and Jace, it was really hard for me. He's 6 years old, and Jace would throw the baseball with Steve. Jace would do all sorts of things, and there was a time. There's a story. Jace he took it really hard. Like it was not something like that you would think. You know what I mean? And right. There was a time that Jace came inside. Like we were leaving and we saw Jace going inside, and his friends, he looked like he had been with his friends, and then Jace is going inside crying, and the friends are continuing on, and we're like, oh, maybe they just said something mean to him. He's highly sensitive. And Val finally got it out of him, like what happened, and it had nothing to do with his friends. Jace just said, I saw a young boy, and this was like last year. I saw a young boy over there throwing the baseball with his grandpa. And it just reminded me of Grandpa. And he got kind of emotional about that. And so we've been really working with him, like trying to help him understand his feelings and understand like we've talked about death and we've talked about those things. And so I think it's still on his mind. And obviously the other kids too have, Steve was around for a lot of their life too. And so we were blessed to be able to do that and have them with us. And so I think, that's a good book to from what you're just, it's the first time I've heard you explain it to me, really. And I think that's ideal for him. I think there's a lot of kids that things happen and they go through life. Never, as a parent, I didn't even think like, the kid's 6, is he really going to understand these feelings? You know what I mean? Like, is he understanding what's going on? I mean, does it even affect him?
Right.
And then these things happen years later and you're like, wow.
Yeah. And I think that's why I loved the book. Like, she had a copy of the book like on her phone. And so she let me read it. And I read it to the 2 parents who we sat with, and they have an 11-year-old. And we just, all 3 of us just absolutely love the book. She's the author and illustrator. But I just loved it because it just allowed, it was so simple, but in a way that was very poignant, I guess. Like, it just basically said that, like, because it's big heart, little heart.
Right.
And it's like little heart's saying like, well, what if I get angry, or what if I get jealous, or what if I get this? And big heart's like, it doesn't matter. Like, you can get all of those things and I'm still going to love you.
Yeah.
And it was just such a great book that I told her, like, after, I was like, girl, I'm promoting this book on the podcast. And she's like, no. And I was like, no, I am. I'm totally going to do it. So yeah. So I'll put a link. I'll put a link for that in the description.
All right. Well, Kasey, if you're listening, like, you got to get on here and tell us about it. I know you're an introvert, but we can turn your camera off. How's that sound?
But yeah, I'll put a link in the description. So anyway, that was my little plug for that.
What day was that? Friday or Saturday?
Saturday.
Okay.
Saturday night.
I get a call Saturday night from Holly. Says, hey, this is Holly. I'm calling you from my watch because my phone's dead. I'm in downtown Dallas. I don't know how to get
I have a question though. When I called you, did it pop up with my phone number or a different number?
No,
okay, because I didn't know if the watch, because my phone was dead. I know my watch has a separate phone number, but I didn't know if it was linked. I've never called anybody from it before. This has never happened.
Yeah. So I had to get on Google Maps and decide, and you have 0 cent. Like, I'm going north, I'm going south, I'm going east. So you're like, I'm on this road and this road. I'm like, okay, which way are you facing? You're like, I don't know. And then eventually I got it out of you, like, oh, my car says I'm driving northeast. I'm like, okay, perfect. Like, that gives me, like, now I know which way you're going. And
yeah, because before I'm like, I'm facing this building.
There's a tall building in front of me. I'm like, Holly, like, that does me no good. Like, this
There's
road.
a Perry's Steakhouse.
Yes. Like, okay, but yeah, I see the Perry's on the map, but I don't know what direction you're looking. Like, I can't tell. So finally you got me the direction. I got you home. And what's funny is I take that route every day. Like, every week I take that route going to one of the companies I serve consistently down in Dallas. I knew exactly where you were. I just didn't know how to get you where you were because you have 0 sense of direction. But so that was Saturday night. And then Monday night, we had quite the fun comedy show.
I feel like fun is a relative term.
It was the improv.
First of all, I walk in and Jared, I should have known. Okay, so let me preface all of this with a couple months ago, you sent me a thing and you're like, hey, would you be interested in going to the show? Well, for me, like, okay, I'll be honest. I don't like comedy shows. Stand-up comedy doesn't make me laugh. Like, I love like The Office and stuff like that. That makes me laugh. But like, for me, I wasn't going because I'm like, yes, I love this stuff. It was like, hey, do you want to go with this? We're going to take the kids. So I'm like 100% like opportunity to spend time with you guys and my nieces and nephews. I'm in. I didn't even look at the link you sent, which was a mistake.
Yeah, you should have.
Because had I looked at the link, I would have realized
that these guys were from Utah.
Yeah.
And it wasn't
going to be good.
And it was going to be a church gathering.
It was very churchy. I will say, like, I walked in and Jared's first words were like, I'm surprised you came with all the church folk being here. And Val's like, what, you think she doesn't like church people? And I'm like, listen, that should have been like the key for me to be like, you know what? I have a date I forgot about. Like, he just texted, like, I got to go.
Well, it was fun. I mean, Lexi, obviously,
it was so rough.
It was tough. So we even knew about it because a guy I go to church with, he said his old roommate was part of the show and he sent everybody the link, to go. So we were like, oh yeah, let's go. We looked up a couple things. And so anyways, there's a show on BYU TV called Random Acts. And apparently that's the guy, the guy was on this show and that's the guy who's the roommate. And Lexi watches that show and Lexi's our theater pro and just loved, like, thought it was the greatest thing ever. It found her way down to the second row. She switched seats with our friends. Their son came up to sit with Jared and Lexi went down, but then the boys ended up finding their way down to the front because, I mean, there was nobody like checking tickets, but we had friends that were in the row in front of them and not everybody showed up. So the boys sat down there. Anyways, they thought it was the greatest thing. Lexi.
The boys liked it too?
Oh, the boys loved it. Lexi thought it was like she was in heaven, and Ava and Val and Jace was like, he's like, I liked it. It was funny.
I should have taken Val and Ava. We should have gone and got ice cream.
But Ava was like sitting there like every 10 minutes. She's like, Dad, when's the show over? When's it over? When's it over?
Ava's like my twin, man.
Yes. She's like, oh my gosh. And for me, like I tolerated it. I was there. I laughed. I just enjoyed it, had a fun time, but it wasn't like I wasn't overly,
I mean, that was a lot of money that we paid for those tickets for me to get one laugh.
Yeah.
Like, they got one laugh out of me with the RSVP thing, but that was it. The one laugh.
Yeah. So it was rough. You should next time, check the link when I send it to you. You try to blame it on me. I'm like, hey, do you want to go? Here's the link. Like, take a look.
Well, I will say though, when I got up to leave and I was like, well, I gotta go. I got a date, and Val was like, you're so lucky. Like she like
Val was not,
me. She was
Val
ready to
impressed.
go. She was like, yeah, no. She was like, it's supposed to be funny, but I'm like, yeah, no, that was pretty bad. So I lasted till intermission, and then I was like, yeah, no, I'm out.
Yeah. And then after intermission, it was okay. I mean, it wasn't, whatever. But so then Lexi gets to go backstage. So our friend who's the friend of the guy,
right,
has a daughter who's like theater pro, and her and Lexi get along, and she invited Lexi to go backstage. And so you'd have thought Lexi was going to see Jesus. She was fired up, but she's like, Dad, so she had her knee brace on because it's Lexi. So she hurt her knee, of course. So she had her knee brace on, and he asked her how he hurt her knee. She hurt her knee, and she's like, well, it's funny because my aunt and my dad do a podcast, and we call it getting pritch slapped. And I basically got pritch slapped, but you should watch their show. You should watch it on YouTube. It's Pritches Get Stitches. So she like totally plugged our show to the guy, and he's like, you know what? I'm going to listen to it. But that friend.
Hold up. If he's going to listen, we better go back and cut out the part where we said it was bad.
He's probably not going to listen. But if you do listen, it was great for the kids. We love Dr. Pepper. We love Dr. Pepper. Dr. Pepper's great. I don't drink anything but Dr. Pepper, and your improv show is great. But I didn't say the name of the improv show, so it's all good. Listen, not everybody likes us either. It is what it is. So my friend, he's an avid listener. So sorry, my friend. You know who you are. Nothing against you, but I liked the show. It's just not for everybody. Not everybody likes comedy. And Lexi loved it. Anyways, he listens to the show all the time. So he's like, hey, I'm going to pick him up and we're going to listen to the show. Okay. So improv show, you left to go on a date midway.
I did.
The date was with your bed?
Yes, there was actually no date. I just made that up.
I told you. I was like,
and I will say though, like I got home on Monday and I took my pants off on Monday. And I got home and I did not put pants on again until yesterday.
Wow. Yesterday, just so you guys know, today's Friday. Today is Friday. Holly didn't put pants on, like shorts, nothing. You probably should put pants on after your debacle with your underwear. But I
didn't even open the door one time. Like I realized when I went to leave the house yesterday to go to the grocery store. So I have an alarm system at my house just because I've had it forever. And you have to turn it off. You have to deactivate it to go out. It hadn't been deactivated since Monday. Like I didn't open the door. I didn't go anywhere. I did nothing. And the only reason I left yesterday was because I'm like, I have one bottled water left. I've run out of apples and I have no half and half. So now I have to go to the grocery store. But I mean, I'm not going to lie. Like I just don't like putting pants on. So I just sit out on my balcony in my tank top and my boy shorts and chill and listen to music. And I should do something. And that's why I was thinking about like over the week, like I have all this spare time. Like, yes, I'm working, but it's also like a lot of times I'm not working, like when I'm just chilling at my house and I'm like, I should pick up a side hustle. And so I like started thinking of all the side hustles I could do. So I go online and I'm like looking at like because let's be honest, it's not a side hustle that I want to do as far as like, I'm going to start a side hustle because that's too much work. And I'm like, nah, I'm not going to do that. So I start looking up jobs and everything online and man, they only want to pay me like $7.25 an hour.
I saw something the other day. It was like you can read
that seaweed.
Me too. I've been burping it up. It's disgusting. You can like read books, like be a book reader, make money doing that.
What do I have to do?
I don't know. I have to find it. No, you read it. Like you're like the reader of the book. I don't know. I need you to find that.
You're a good reader. Very good book right now.
Well, Holly, why don't you do something like, why don't you go volunteer at like somewhere?
Listen.
Go help people.
Okay. I will help anybody. I will help anybody who needs my help. If I have the money and the means, I will give somebody literally the shirt off my back. I do not enjoy volunteering though somewhere. Like my therapist is always like, it'll give you a sense of purpose. And I'm like, no, like that's not going to give me a sense of purpose. I will help people who need it, but I don't want to go stand at a soup kitchen. And that's I feel like that makes me a bad person because I don't enjoy it.
No, I mean, not everybody, like who enjoys it? Like I never, even as a kid, like we'd go to these service projects for youth stuff and I never enjoyed doing it. It wasn't like, oh, yay, we're going to go paint fire hydrants. Like how many times do we do that? Or we're going to go here, we're going to go there. But I just always had fun because we were a group, like for you,
Right.
it's like, maybe if you had a group of people that were like, hey, we're going to go do this. Okay. We're having
something
fun.
like that. And I will help anybody. I don't
Right.
want to make it seem like I'm a selfish person.
No, you do.
Because I'm
Absolutely.
not. But I just don't enjoy that. And this is, I don't know, like I've always been the type of person my entire life who I've always had more than one job because I've always had the theory, like if I'm have time to like chill, I have time to make money.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm always trying to think of like ways I can make money and things like that. And so I actually thought about like, I think I'm going to like serve papers. So I think I'm going to come work for you.
Yeah, let's do it.
So Heidi.
Yeah, Heidi's listening for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to come work for you.
She'll hook you up. She'll hook you up.
But then I have to put on pants, I guess. I should put on pants if I'm going to go serve.
You do need to put on pants. Like you can't just not serve with pants on. So and I only brought that up to volunteer because you told me before the show that people tell you that and you're like,
I know, because you're a jerk.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I was watching something the other day, Holly, on Facebook. I was watching, I'm sure a lot of people have seen him. He's called the Dad Bod Veteran. And he's the one where the kid's like, he's like a millennial or like a young kid. And he's like, hey, everybody talks about drinking out of the water fountain or out of the water hose, like where sink's not an option. And then you see this guy come in. He talks about, how it was, back in the day. And anyways, he talked about one called Zennials. Mm-hmm. And he's like, you're not like you're the tail end of Generation X. And I always thought I was a millennial, but I never really felt like I fit in with that because the millennials are like the ones about 10, 12 years younger than me.
Right.
And I'm like, I don't really connect with those ones. But then I didn't really connect with Generation X because they're like, old school. Like they're the ones that right now don't really know how to do the technology stuff. Right. The older ones. But then he said there's this. Yeah, exactly. Well, you're kind of like that too, a little bit. Some of the
mine's just more out of ignorance. Mine is like, I just don't care to do it. I could do it if I like really sat down, but it's more like I have a whole team of guys who work for me who do this. So I'm just going to ask them instead of figuring it out on my own.
So then he talked about zennials. You ever heard that before? Xennials. Zennials.
I have never heard of a zennial.
So he says kind of like between like 1975 to 1985, kind of this generation that you had the analog, but then you also had the digital, and we moved from the analog to the digital, and we had to adapt with that, and we moved with that. And I just felt like I found my home with the zennials. Yeah,
for sure. Because I mean, I feel like we grew up with landlines.
We grew up outside. We had to play outside. We had to drink from the water fountain or from the water hose. And you had mentioned it, and he mentioned it like the first little bit of water that comes out is like hot. A viper, he called it.
Oh. You had to like wait. You knew you had to wait for it because you didn't want to put your mouth up to it right away, but you were dying to put your mouth up to it right away. But you knew that first little bit was going to be hot.
Like we had cars, so I was thinking about something the other day. Like we had cars that had, windows that rolled down, like hand crank.
Yep.
And cars don't even come with that anymore. Like manual transmission, hand crank windows, regular door locks. Yeah. You can't even find a manual transmission. Well, I mean, your car has one.
You can, but the dude,
but it's a premium.
Had to pay extra. Yeah,
it's a premium. Like the automatic transmissions used to be a premium. Oh, you want automatic? Well, you got to pay extra. Now you want a manual.
Now it's swapped. And I think it's funny because when I went to Italy last year, every rental car is a manual. Every car, people drive manuals over there. Like you pay extra for automatics, where in America they don't even rent. You can't even find a manual transmission.
I mean, Americans are so like want conveniences. You know what I mean? And I personally like driving the standard. I had a standard growing up. I had the rodeo, and then I had one when I got married too. Like I bought another one. But then I realized like I couldn't eat a cheeseburger and shift and drive at the same time. So I was like, okay, I'm out. I'm over it. But I wouldn't mind one like Dad's old truck. He had the old brown and blue. 1985
brown and blue.
And
Ford F-150.
Yeah, he had the standard shift. But anyways, there's more and more of those things that are less. Like more kids don't know about. Like I was talking to our kids, like we have a landline and the kids think it's like ridiculous, but that's their phone. You know what I mean? Like only one kid has a phone right now, a cell phone. They call their friends on it. There's just other things like my kids, I was trying to think of something that they said the other day. And I'm like, you don't even know. Like I can't even remember these things, but can you imagine like my kids getting into a car with crank windows? Like how do you roll the windows down?
No.
Like those things. Anyway, so these zennials is what he said. He was like, cause he's like a Gen Xer, right? He's like, we got to give it to this subcategory, the subsection of our generation. These ones that, we went from tapes to CDs to like, how many times have I freaking purchased the same music over and over and over again? Like
the CD warped.
You had it on tape, and then all of a sudden you had to buy it on CD.
CD because it was better, and they no longer made tape players.
Like my car doesn't even have a CD player in it. It's 2017. Like I don't even have a CD player. Yours probably doesn't either.
I think mine has a CD player in it, but mine's a 2000. But then
no,
my
like
old
your new car.
Honda. But then my new car does not. No, it's just XM radio. There's a button for XM radio, and then there is an AM FM button. But I don't like. I use XM. I don't like to listen to commercials.
Yeah. So my car doesn't even have a CD player, so I can't even listen to CDs. But
you remember when CDs came out, and then you could buy the car, and it would have like the 6 disc changer.
Oh yeah, I had a
6 disc. 20 disc.
I had a 12 disc,
and like you could pull it out and put all the CDs in. Like Colby, our nephew, he has my old Honda, and it was a 6 disc, but you would click CD1 and insert the disc, and then CD2, and you could hear it changing. So then you put in the next CD, and then it would take it into CD2 slot. So it wasn't like a manual one, but we had, I think yours, the 12 disc one was manual, like where you had to pull it out,
put the disc in, put it back in,
and
put that thing on shuffle. Like kids don't know anything about mixtapes these days. You know, put that thing on shuffle, and you could hear it going in the back. You know, when I worked at the car dealership, like early 20s, I was in charge of all the used cars and kind of getting them ready to go onto the lot and everything. Well, they didn't want anything extra in it. So if people traded it in with a disc, like a disc changer, if they had a radio that was not stock, as long as it had a radio, they didn't care. And so I would upgrade my radios like almost monthly, because there would be one that would come in and I'm like, dude, that one's way better. I'd pull it out and I'd take mine and I'd put it in, and so they always had a radio and always worked. But I would get CD changers. I would get all sorts of stuff because they were like, we're pulling it out. We can't sell the car with it. And so, or they don't.
Well, you'd also get CDs because didn't people?
Oh, people leave CDs. Yeah, man. Bob Marley CD.
I'll tell you, like
all the change. So real quick, there was a 1994 Ford F-150. I wish I'd have bought it. It was sweet. The 94 Ford F-150, and it sat in the back, and it was traded in, and we were just waiting on it to do whatever they were going to do. And it had an ashtray full of quarters. I mean, nice. There was so much, and I knew that if I took it, it would be gone. So it was like my daily soda money. So I would go every day, get to work. I'd walk back to the F-150 and I'd open up the ashtray, pull out 3 quarters, and head in, and get my soda, or however much I needed. It was like my cash cow. That was a sweet truck. And so I always made sure like I took everything out of that.
Yeah, Colby's, when he ended up buying that car for me, he was like, "Hey, you still have some of your CDs in there?" I was like, "Yeah, you can have them, man." Like I don't even know what CDs they were, but they'd been in there for so long. And it wasn't like it was old. I mean, it's old now. It's 11 years. It was 2012. But I mean, just the technology that's advanced towards like you can get anything on demand. I think though I don't know. I also think that's kind of a bad thing. Like people don't know how to wait for anything anymore.
Yeah. So, I mean, even then, like some of the bands I listen to, like they just release one song and it's like, hey, this is from our new album, but it's one song. And like you can get it on Amazon, right? And I was a kid, you had to listen to it on the radio until, hey, it's not releasing.
The album.
It's May 26th and it's not released until June 26th. And the only way you can hear the song is on the radio. And it's like, oh my gosh. So a little bit of nostalgia there, but it goes with our demographics of, 35 to 44-year-old women that listen to us right now.
True. They're all like, you're right. You're right.
Yeah. They're like, oh, I remember that.
I just burped that seaweed. That is so bad.
Yeah. And then I drank Dr. Pepper, and of course I keep burping it up too. So this is horrible. I'm going to go throw that straight. Actually, I'm going to take it back and say, hey, I just opened this. Fired.
It's my money
back. $229. So Holly, one thing that I want to talk about next show, and I'm just going to give us a little preview right here. And I want to talk about this. First of all, I got to go to Walmart so I can get our spotted dick. So you can have some spotted dick in your mouth.
That'll be the only spotted dick ever that I put in my mouth.
Okay. We're gonna get Dad on this one. Maybe we should have him on the next show. He can tell us his tow truck story. Awesome. But did we land on the moon? Ooh. I feel like I gotta go put my tinfoil hat on.
I feel like we should not even give anything other than that.
So that's it. We're gonna talk about that. And there's a lot of stuff that I've read and seen, and I'm just going to tell you right now, I'm not going to give your side of it. I don't know your side of it fully. Like,
I don't want you to give your side either.
Fine.
Let's save it.
But there's just a lot of stuff either way. But the one argument that is legit that people say is I watched it happen. So we will leave it at that. Holly, I'm going to ask you a question. Real quick, you tell me. Here's a little question for you. Do you carry cash anymore?
I don't. And I went to the car wash, the one that I lost and couldn't figure out where it went.
Did you find it?
I did. And the only reason I found it because I had to go through in my mind because I needed to get it washed after that crazy hailstorm that I was out in and almost died. Oh, that storm was nuts. I forget about Texas storms like that.
Oh, crazy. It's like, hey, it's a beautiful day, not a cloud in the sky. And then 30 minutes later, you're like, what in the world is happening? Where's this hail coming? There was not a cloud. And all of a sudden, boom.
And let me tell you, it was super bad in Frisco. I don't know if you guys got, I know you got a little bit. Oh, the hail in Frisco was crazy. So I go out because I'm like, well, I'm going to go somewhere. I need to eat or whatever. I hadn't grocery shopped, or maybe it was like, oh no, I had grocery shop, but I had like fish for every meal.
By the way, you said you had barramundi, and I thought it was a barracuda. Like you're eating some barracuda.
I'm wondering if it's like a mix of something.
I don't know. You said barramundi, and I was like, and I read it as barracuda. I'm like, dang, she's eating some barracuda. I can think barracuda. Anyways.
Yeah, but no, barramundi was actually decent. I could handle that one. The texture on that, I don't know that I'll be able to finish the cod or the flounder, but barramundi I would go buy. But I decided I was going to go out. Super crazy rain. After I'm like out and about, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, the hail just starts coming down. It's so bad, and the rain and the hail, I can't see. I have no sense of direction, so I don't even know where I'm at. I'm trying to find somewhere just to pull over, and all of a sudden, like, you can hardly even see like the stoplights, the color, but I knew mine was green, and I'm going, and some car just runs right through the red light. Luckily, it wasn't like they were flying because it was crazy rain and hail, but they almost T-boned me.
Oh.
And like, it probably came like, I'm not joking, like probably this close to my car. I ended up having to pull over. I found some random office that had some random parking garage. I pulled in, there wasn't even room. So all the spaces were taken and lined with cars. Like we were bumper to bumper in there, just waiting it out. It was crazy.
That was the day we had our playoffs for flag football.
Yeah.
And we still had them. We didn't get that bad here. Like we had a delay for lightning.
But oh no, it was but it was crazy because it was like maybe 15, 20 minutes. And then it was like sun came out. Rest of the night was beautiful.
I love Texas. Hey.
Right. It's like, what is happening?
Yeah. But drops the hail and you're like,
I don't know what was I talking about?
Well, I asked you if you still carry cash, and then we were talking about hailstorms. So we talked about this episode, the pilot episode, like, you're going to be off somewhere else, I asked if you carry cash, and you're telling me about a hailstorm that happened.
That's right.
You almost got hit.
Where was I going with this? I have no clue. So either way.
I think you're going to tell me you're at a restaurant, doesn't take cash or something like that. I don't know. Like you were going to get food. That's where you started.
Oh, yeah.
I was going to go get food, and you ended up at a hailstorm.
No, I was going to tell you, I found the car wash.
Oh, the car wash.
I found the car wash.
What's the name of the car wash?
I don't know.
Okay. As long as you know where it's at.
I remembered it was by a discount tire. And so I looked at all the discount tires on Google Maps and found one. And I was like, this is where it would have been. And then I went over there and it was the correct one.
Found the car wash. Okay.
I don't know what.
But they don't. Yeah, the car washes are all cashless now.
But they're all cashless. But I think I don't know why I was telling you about the car wash.
Okay. So that night.
Carrying cash. So
no.
So I don't carry cash. And I always feel like I should carry cash. Because like we went to, like when Colby and I went to the murder mystery thing, she, it's at the end and they had a full bar. So we go to get a couple beers and she's like, hey, I got it. And she goes to pay with cash and they're like, we don't take cash.
It's crazy.
And I'm like, she's like, well, technically, like she whispers to me, like, technically it's legal tender. And I think they have to take it. But like, I think it's so weird that I can remember like grandma always having cash because she would always say like, everybody's always going to take cash. Like, and it's like, what kind of world do we live in that now nobody wants to take like actual legal tender?
Nobody uses it. I mean, I think that like change is ridiculous. Like make everything $1, like everything round to the dollar or to the quarter, like half quarters and that's it. You know what I mean? Like people give me back pennies. I'm like, what do I do with a penny?
What am I going to do with it?
But like I can't,
for a rainy day?
I can't do anything with a penny. Like I don't even pick up dimes anymore. Sheesh.
Yeah.
I'll still pick up quarters. Quarters add up. But
quarters going like a vending machine though.
So yeah, so I rarely carry cash anymore. I have to have cash.
Susie though, I always call her Dorothy because Aunt Dorothy. I don't know, you didn't know Aunt Dorothy. Like
I mean,
you knew her, but when we were little. But I lived out in Utah, so I got to know her before she passed away. And one thing about Aunt Dorothy is she always carried cash. Always, she paid everything in cash. And so our cousin Susie, I always call her Dorothy because we'll go somewhere and she pulls out like cash, and I'm like, who carries cash anymore, Dorothy? Like, come on.
Well, they've made these credit cards so like. I mean, if you work it right. So we pay everything on a credit card and then just pay it off every month. And that's like our debit card. And because you get so many, like there's so many benefits to it, like business wise for our business credit card, we pay, we get cash back
or mileage on airlines.
So we get, Southwest, everything's on Southwest for us. So we fly Southwest, but, yeah, I don't carry cash. I mean, I do every once in a while. Like when people give me cash, I'm like, cause then I don't want to pay the cash. You know what I mean? I'm like, I would rather put it on my credit card.
Well, my problem is my bank is USAA, which is online. Like I don't have any banks anywhere. So then I'm stuck with this cash. So I'm like, I can't deposit it.
Yeah.
So people are like, well, I'm going to buy, like when I would sell stuff up in Utah and they say, well, do you take cash? I'm like, can you get a money order? Because at least with a money order, I can do like the mobile deposit.
Right.
I can't do that with cash. Like cash makes no sense to me anymore though.
Yeah. No bueno. Well, Holly, let's wrap it up. I'll close it out with this. Coach of the year goes to me. I'm proclaiming myself coach of the year. Even though
won the States yet.
Even though we lost flag football, we got hammered in the second round of the playoffs. We had a first round bye. We get hammered in the second round. Felt bad. Thought it was done. Jace is like, I gotta have a ring. I can't go out without a ring. It's just gonna get harder and harder. So
is he gonna play next year?
I may be still playing flag football, which is fine.
Tell him that if he's gonna play, do flag football his age, and he has to do tackle.
I told him that he has to work hard. If I don't see him working hard to improve, like over the next year, he's not going to play. So we'll see. Better
get him out there with Jerry.
However, our little volleyball team won regionals for state. So we've got first place. So we've got state next weekend. Nice. So here in a couple of weeks, we'll hear about that, but definitely not coach of the year, but it's been fun. I couldn't take it. Like my nerves were too much. Like, you know how mom like would read the end of the book because she couldn't read the book without knowing what happened at the end. Like I had to sit down and let my assistant coach coach because I couldn't handle it. I'm like, what? Like it's such a close game. It was so riveting back and forth. And I'm like, I can't take it. I am getting angry watching these girls like miss the ball. And he's like, dude, let me. I'm like, yes.
Like, here's my thing too. It's like, I don't want a close game. I never want a close game. Like people are like, oh, I love a close game, blah, blah, like down to the wire. No, I need a blowout. Every time my team plays, I need it to be a blowout because then I know.
You need to look into this highly sensitive stuff, man. Because I couldn't handle it, man.
Oh, I can't take it.
I'm out.
I'm done. I cannot do it. I do not want a close game. I need a blowout. I need to know victory is guaranteed. So I get it. I'm glad I had to miss those games though, because they won by 2 points.
Every game was 2 points. We won by 2 points.
Isn't that requirement? You have to win by 2 points?
Yeah. So we won the first time we played this team. It was 26-24. So we had to go to extra hits. 26-24, 25-23. And then they came and beat us the second time we played them, 25-23. And then we beat them 26-24. No, sorry. They beat us 26-24. We won 25-23, 15-13.
Oh man, that's just too much.
However, we were down 13-9 in the third set. And we had to go to 15 and came back and won it. So
dang,
it was fun.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. I wouldn't have been able to watch that though. I would have had to leave. I'd had to go stand outside. Glad I missed it.
Had to go to the bathroom or something, probably.
For real.
All right. Well, that was a long, extended answer to do we carry cash?
Cash.
The ADHD was all over the joint in that one, but. Hey, listen, we're excited for the future and for what we have going on here. I think, Holly, we've got a pretty good thing. You've told me that a couple times. It may work, it may not. But if I can just put in one last plug, Dr. Pepper, we love you.
Yes, we do, Dr. Pepper. You're the best.
We're out. Till next time. Bye-bye.
Hey, what's up, my channel? Please hit the drop a like and hit the subscribe button. Looking for my first subscriber. Can't subscribe myself. Can't do that for some reason. I don't know why. Wish you could.